Estamos en vivo. Soy Charles Cook. This is Charles Cook. It's great to be with you this week. Wow, it was a whirlwind last week for sure, with some travel for business, which I had to go to Hawaii. I'm sorry. Somebody had to do it. Coming back, teaching the next morning like I do every Wednesday. I teach at Emory Law School. And then showing up last Friday. And then Thursday, having to fly to D.C., for oral argument in the ACA Go DV20, DV 2021 case. It's been a crazy whirlwind. But I want to talk about what happened last Friday. Mentioned this briefly in our impact litigation live yesterday. But my argument, my part of the argument on diversity 2020, DV 2020, DV 2021. And let me just put those banners up so you know what I'm talking about. So this is the DV 2021. My part of the argument was about relief, in that the government appealed. They lost. Government lost. Judge Maida reserved visas, said you didn't follow the law, and the government appealed. Now, the government is going to lose part of that appeal. The government has a couple reasons to appeal. One, they argued that when the president says somebody can't enter, that means they can't issue visas, and they have a convoluted argument for that. They're going to lose that. They're going to lose that. All right, that's a loser for them. And the second part is the penalty. What is okay, you did it, you screwed up people's lives. What's the penalty? Well, there was no monetary penalty, but it was, hey, you need to issue these visas. And because Judge Maida acted before the end of the year, bing, bang, boom, we got relief. Now, in 2020, that was reserving. The judge had this complicated formula about what would they have done if they hadn't screwed this up, and what percentage of this visa compared to that visa. And he came up with 9,095. Now, we still have about a dozen plaintiffs in the 2020 case. And then in the DV 2021 case, there's a different scenario. I mean, they first of all, both Trump and Biden kept doing the same thing, which is not issuing visas because of the ban. And then they came up with another reason not to issue visas, which was a travel rule, which was also illegal, which we won multiple times. And again, we got to the end of the year, and they just didn't prioritize. They didn't care. They said, look, we don't care. They're not important to us. And they didn't conduct any analysis of that. They just said, look, they're irrelevant. They're at the bottom of the pile. Who cares about them? And along with family cases, which comes up later in this argument. But judges did another math thing. Well, the first time I got the judge's math. The second time, his math is wrong. He believed that you had to take a look at the denominator, which is 133,000 people, and then take a percentage of that. That should have gotten the visa. And that's wrong. That's the wrong denominator. The denominator is how many people actually applied for the visa, who actually went through the process and would get approved. Those are the ones that are harmed. People that didn't apply or don't qualify, they weren't harmed. So his math was wrong. So we asked the judge, and my argument was explain this as best I could, along with giving my own personal opinion about this lawsuit to them, and say all 1,550 of our remaining 2,490 plaintiffs, about 1,000 got visas, 900 got visas, and the judge reserved 457 or some number like that. We said, look, if they broke the law, they broke the law. Everybody that sued, that did what they were supposed to do, should get benefit. That's my argument. Now, are we going to win that? I don't know. I don't know if we're going to win that. That was the fight, because we fight for our clients on every case until the end. So don't email me and say, when am I going to get my visa? I don't know. First of all, we do not think that the court will in any way rule before the new year. I'm thinking January, February. 2, even if we win, which I hope we do, that's why we're fighting, right? If we win, those visas are not going to be issued right away. It's going to take months. I mean, at that point, the government has as much time as they need, right? Now, Judge Maida said issue within 6 months. All right. So I would suspect that most of that work, if it comes down in January or February, that most of these are going to be issued in the fall. I mean, in the summer, like June, July, August is my guess. That's just my guess. So that's kind of it on DV 2021. And same thing, of course, is true on DV 2020. Same argument. I will tell you on our DV 2022 case, last night, Aaron filed our response to the government, our reply to the government's response to our motion for a PI and reservation of visas. It was extraordinarily well written. The only difference for DV 2022 is they actually, because we filed this, they'd only issued 6,000 visas. And now they've issued over 50,000 visas. The purpose of the lawsuit was get them to issue the visas. And of our 78 original plaintiffs, we only have 12 plus family members that are left. Now, the difference here this year is that they took people out of order. The same thing happened in the Madhav and EB case. Instead of taking people in a case number order as the statute requires, they just took whatever they could. There was no rhyme or reason, and they lied to the court a couple of times about what they were doing, how they were doing it. And so we asked the judge either to order them to issue visas to our 12 clients for the end of the year, which they can do. I mean, not issue visas, but interview them, or reserve visas for them for those 12. Reserve them for those 12 and let them do them next year. So that's kind of where we are. We have a hearing on Friday with Judge Mehta. Monday at 11 a.m. with Judge Mehta. I'll be there. Aaron and I will be doing that. And we keep fighting for those. Now, the good news is there doesn't appear to be a need for a DV 2023 lawsuit. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay. This finally, I think the government gets their, I changed my banner here. Finally, the government gets their obligation to issue the visas. Now, while they were issuing all the visas in DV this year, they were also busy issuing the visas in the EB mandamus and wastage litigation. Again, this is where USCIS, the Department of State issued a record number of EBs. They issued like 80,000 or something like that. USCIS issued a record number as well, but only after we sued them. The only reason they did this is because we sued them. If we hadn't sued them, you and I both know that they wouldn't have done this. Now, the horrible thing that they did here was that they just found whatever file they could find. They, instead of taking people in case order 1 and keeping spouses together 2, which they also violated laws, which they violated, and doing a third of the cases each quarter, 3 things they violated, that left a lot of our plaintiffs who had early numbers, when retrogression hit, they got screwed. So what we're going to be doing there, we've talked to the government. It looks like they're not going to agree. To issue all the visas by October 1 for our 9 or 12 or 15 family member visas for current priority dates. If they're not going to do that, they don't agree to that, and they are radio silence on spouses. So what we're going to do is we're going to dismiss this lawsuit and we're going to refile it in DC. We've got some new arguments. We're going to be adding plaintiffs. So if you got screwed by the Department of State and or the USCIS in the visa mandamus, in the how they issued visas this last year, you're going to want to pay attention to the impact litigation website. We'll be doing some announcements in the next day or so and onboarding folks. And we're going to file probably next week. We're going to file right away in front of the year. So that's kind of where we are on the EB mandamus and what's going on. We'll be reaching out to plaintiffs separately with an email with much more detail than I provided here. I also update you just, by the way, on the EB-5 Jane litigation. We've come to an agreement with the government. They are going to be providing us the documents by October 21st. Our opening brief on our motion for summary judgment, we do December 5th, I think. Their response and their cross motion will be due on January 6th or something like that. And then final briefings done by February. In the meantime, of course, we're asking the government to adjudicate our clients' visas. It's just stupid they're not doing this. Every day they don't do their job is a day that looks like we're going to win. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy what they're doing there. And let's see, there was one other item I wanted to talk about today. Oh, DACA. So again, we're about 39 days away from the effective date of the new DACA regulations, which are not stayed. Those aren't stayed. They're new regulations. They go into effect on October 30. So if you have a new DACA, if you have never applied and now you're eligible, get your paperwork ready. All right, you can email me, and I will be happy to email you. Actually, you know what we could do? Actually, I think our website. Let me see if we still have it on our website. Yeah, so on our website is the DACA checklist about what qualifies. I need to update the wording, but if you are interested in DACA And this is our DACA page on our website. Just go to immigration.net. DACA is now back in effect. There'll be the checklist of what you need to prove, the documents you need. Get them ready. Don't pay anybody any money. Don't pay anybody any money. Don't hire anybody, me or anybody else. Just get your documents ready. Get your documents ready for DACA so that when it does come back into effect, you can file. All right, so that's a good thing to do. We have no word yet on the Fifth Circuit. Obviously, they were thrown for a loop. There's no doubt that they had written the decision already, and now they have to rewrite the decision. We'll see what they do. See what the tricksters in the Fifth Circuit come up with on this. Still feel very confident about that and moving forward with that. Now, we also have TPS for Venezuelans. Has to be renewed. You have until November 7th. Renew it. Fill it out. Send it in with your new 765 and 821. Get them out the door, please. Now, if you haven't gotten your EAD from the first time, just know you're employment authorized for another year. You print out the web page and you're good to go off of USCIS. So that's kind of where we are. All right. Today, the government, by the way, issued some new regulations canceling Trump regulations on asylum. One of which was you need to issue you're putting back into effect the idea that EAD is supposed to be issued within 30 days of filing. We'll see if that's true, but that's kind of where we are. As far as everything else is concerned, H-1Bs, we're coming up on H-1B season next year. Get ready. But I want to know one thing on labor certifications. Looks like the Department of Labor is sitting on about 3 years worth of labor certifications right now. About 3 years worth. So the backlog, I think EB3 is going to backlog here sometime this next year for everybody. I don't think EB2 will backlog for everybody, but and that means that India and China are not going to see a lot of forward movement on this. All right, let's take a look here at some of our questions. See what we got. Save DV. Well, Ornella, I'm trying. My VAWA was approved November 2021. Congratulations. Never received EAD because attorney's fault. I applied for this. What can I do? Well, nothing, because it's only been 3 months. Well, I guess it's been 5 months, right? Because it's September. They're taking 8 months. You're just going to have to wait. File a complaint against your lawyer. Khalid, what do you think? I'm saving DV 2021 too. I like the whole Elon Musk thing going on there. Henny, hello, sir. What if we lose the proclamation but win the rest? Well, we will not. You will not win the second and lose the first. You have to win the first to win the second. You got to win the first to win the second, but you can win the first and lose the second. You could do that. I'm in Getter. Thank you for telling was hearing. I thought the hearing was very positive for us. I feel good about this case, and I think we're going to win this. I do. I think the judges all know, at least two of the judges know, it's the right thing to do. You shouldn't get screwed because Department of State erroneously made the same error for 30 years or 50 years. C'est la vie. They just screwed up. Tengo orden de deportación desde 2012, 10 y salí con el mes pro 2010. Mi esposo es residente, mi hijo es ciudadano. Sí, lo que tiene que hacer Josué es hacer una moción de reabrir su caso y también debe ser una forma I-212 primero, antes de poner la aplicación de residencia, conjunto con la 130. Si necesitas ayuda con esto, lo hemos hecho varias veces. No es algo nuevo para nosotros. Llame por la consulta. Ahí está. Llame por la consulta y te ayudamos. Okay? All right. ¿Dónde estamos? We've got Puya. Increase the number of visas, then it would probably be able to, well, yeah, but only Congress could increase numbers. And don't hold your breath on that. Joe, I love your picture. Russian ammo. Well, entirely up to you, dude. They're only mobilizing people that previously served. If you previously served and you leave, you've got a big butt problem. So only you can make that decision, Joe. I'm sorry you're in that situation. It's horrible what Putin's doing. Be careful what you write on social media, my friend. DV 2020, I already talked about that. If Gomez wins, the visas will depend on case number or DQ. I actually think that what they will do is they will look at case number first, but that they will also look at qualification numbers. when your AV, no, when they were all ready to be qualified, DACA returned qualified. They're not necessarily mutually exclusive. It would be unfair to rely on documentarily qualified because that's easier for some people than it is for others, which is why the numbers have always been the thing. So, I would argue that the number is the number, and that's what you need to go by. That's what the statute says. So we'll see. Henny, how can the issue be different from year to year? Because there are different issues. In Gomez, the very first case, Acker, is that which is 2020. But both Go and Good Luck are 2021. So there's no difference between them, except the different judges. But Gomez is different than Go because for the entire year they weren't issuing visas, and there was no federal court order in place asking them to do that. And then during 2021, they kept doing the same thing, even though a court order was in place. So actually, it's worse in 2021 than it is in 2020. That's the difference, as far as I'm concerned. And then, of course, mid-year, they changed course. Biden had different reasons for doing it, yada, yada, yada. Zaki, if Gomez wins, he just would depend. Again, I already answered that question. Lisette, whatever. Lisette, I answered DACA. Go back about 10 minutes, and you'll see it right there. Any update on H-1B, new changes? Nothing, Suraj, just nothing. They have done nothing. Nothing in the rumor mill, nothing to fix their massive problem. And they, the thing is, they're still issuing approvals. So we don't know how many they've issued. We just don't know. No stats, nothing's coming out. So no, we've got nothing. It's a good point. Maybe I'll tweet on that when we get done here today. I think that's an important tweet. Mercy. Hello, me negaron una apelación bajo asilo y tengo que estarme reportando aquí porque tengo de una apelación vivo en Atlanta, entré en 2012. Well, no, ¿cuál apelación perdió? ¿La del corte del BIA, el BIA o el 11 circuito? No sé, tendrías que hacer una consulta. Okay. Glenn Newman Guzraj. I got my one for accepted by you says in October. I will file my 945. So you must have a really, you must not be Indian, although your name is kind of Indian. So the question is, what country are you from? If you're Indian, hopefully your priority date is before April 2012. Otherwise, you can't file a 485. So I need more information to answer your question, Glenn. Maddie, I just want my DACA. Yeah, I want your DACA to be processed. We have about 70 clients whose DACAs are just sitting there. New York or DC, it'll be in DC. There's some really good case law for us on this issue in DC. Chris appeal, the cross appeal. There you go. I already answered that question. Mayor, I'm going to do my son will be 21 October, and we are afraid. No, he would do the interview. If you win, if you're one of those selected, he's protected under the Child Status Protection Act, so he's good. Antonio Ramirez, does a person who has several unlawful qualified for getting a green card through military pro in place? Yes. If they were here for more than a year before they left, yes, they are disqualified. I'm sorry to say. Andres, when will we hear Fifth Circuit about DACA? Everybody thought we would have already heard. So at this point, I would just tell you any day. Joe, you didn't serve. Well, they're not mobilizing everybody. That's what Putin said. Maybe this is your time to leave. Good time to go on a vacation, perhaps. Glenn, you're in Albania. You Guzraj in Albania. Yeah, so is your priority? Your priority's current. So they're probably going to take 8 to 10 months, 12 months to adjudicate your case, is my guess, if they don't run out of visas. Lisette, los que ingresaron últimamente vino para DACA, pero como quedan, esperando hasta que la nueva regla se activa octubre 30. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I'm trying to help. Mercy, la apelación me negaron fue BIA. Well, tienes 30 días desde la negación para apelar al 11 circuito. Si está dentro de los 30 días, llámame y te ayudamos. Well, yes, se voló el tiempo. Time flew by today. I'll be back next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We'll answer all your questions, give you an update on what's going on. We will have had our hearing with the judge in the DV case on Friday, so we'll update you next week. On Monday, there's also a hearing. I guess Monday is a DV case. Friday, there's a hearing on a EB5 case. And, we're kind of holding our breath, seeing what's going on. All right, everybody, have a great week. Talk to you later.